Welcome to Suburban Warrior, the podcast that will impact, inspire, and empower you to transform your mindset and become the badass warrior that you are. I'm your host and fellow warrior, Crissy Piper, former clinician and corporate marketing exec turned multi-passionate entrepreneur, performance and life coach, and mom to 4 not-so-little warriors. Each week, I will bring you honest conversations with inspiring guests to share their stories of resilience, optimism, success, and simple yet effective strategies so that you transform your thoughts and change your behavior to get the results you want in your life. You will be empowered to take action, warrior up, and believe in you. Let's do this. What's up, warriors? Welcome back to another episode of the Suburban Warrior Podcast. I am your host and fellow warrior, Crissy Piper, and today I am playing the role of both host and guest because once a season, I do like to jump on here to do a solo podcast just to connect with you, check in, kind of give you a little almost mini Crissy Piper coaching session for this season. You know, talk about what's going on in my world, some of the things that are working for me, help to maybe give you a new perspective and how you can look at some things, and maybe just some tips and tricks and life hacks that might help you out in life because, right, that's what we're all here for. We are here to connect, to find joy in the journey, and to learn from each other what's working, what's not working, and how we can all become better versions of ourselves. And what better time than spring to really think about that, right? We all think about spring as this renewal or rebirth. And I think it's a great time to sort of check in with yourself and to check in with what are the things that are working in your life and what are the things that aren't working, and really reflect and take the time to make some change. You know, a lot of people think that the new year is the time to do that, but I think the best time to do that is spring because, you know, depending on where you live, I'm in the Northeast, so it's a wonderful time where the flowers start blooming and the weather gets warmer and you can get outside more, be in the sun, be in the fresh air, be in nature. And it truly does inspire you to think about things in a different way because everything that we're looking at starts to look different. So why not look within and start thinking about that in a different way? I also think, you know, we're at this time in our life where we're super busy moms. And what I've been noticing more and more is that when I talk to clients and when I talk to friends, you know, we're all sort of experiencing a lot of what I would say are health issues, really, whether it's mental or physical health. I think that we're all starting to experience this time in our life where we're getting older, maybe starting to go through the change of life, whether it's perimenopause or menopause and hormones are changing, and we're just not feeling our best selves physically and mentally, right? The pandemic has had a hand in that, so much change. And, you know, I think a lot of areas have changed in our life where we don't even realize because we're not getting out as much, we're not dressing up as much, we're not as social. And all of those things drastically impact how we feel mentally, how we feel physically. And until we really stop and take the time to think about that and ask ourselves some of the harder questions about, you know, what do I want my life to look like? What do I want my life to look like a year from now? What's working for me in life right now? What do I want to add more of into my life that makes me feel good? Like these are all questions that we need to not only ask ourselves, but really sit and think about the answers. But in this podcast today, what I want to do is share some life hacks or some health hacks, some simple things that you can do to really take care of yourself and be a happier and healthier version of you this spring, because it really should be a time to renew. So let's try some new things. But with that being said, I don't want you to think that this is a podcast where I want you to feel like, oh, I should be doing this. I should be eating better. I should be exercising. Or, you know, Susie next door reads a book a week and that's what I should be doing. Because that's not what this episode's about, right? I don't want you to be sitting there comparing yourselves to others or thinking about any of the shoulds. That's not what you should be doing at all. This is a podcast that is meant to help you look within yourself and reflect and maybe find out what it is that you really want, what it is, that you want in your life or what you want your life to look like. Stretch yourself. Give yourself the ability to dream big, think big, bold goals, because that's what we should be doing. And then realizing that you have the power to change and do anything in your life, because it all starts with you, right? It all starts with first realizing that you are both the problem and the solution to every aspect of your life. And the sooner that we start to realize that and believe in that and realize the truth and the power in that statement, that it's unfortunate because you start to realize that, yes, you can be the problem and look within yourself, but you are also the solution. So later on in the podcast, we're going to talk about goals, how to set them, how to think about them, how to, make small changes in your life. But first, I want to talk about some health and life hacks that are simple and easy to do, but also these little small changes that we make can really impact our life. So the first I want to talk about is diet. Now, I'm certainly not a nutritionist, and none of this information that I'm going to give you is coming from a level of expertise, but more of a level of personal experience from my community of friends and, like I said, clients that, really can make a difference. So first thing, diet. I think when we talk about diet, you have to just think about it as what it is that you're consuming is really contributing to the output of your life, right? Food is meant to be energy. Food is meant to fuel us. Food is meant to make us feel good. And it's unfortunate that where we live, our food system is severely broken, and we consume a lot of processed foods that just generally make us feel like crap. So when you are putting crap in, you are going to get crap out. So there's so many fad diets out there, right? There's keto, there's paleo, there's whatever. And you can go on and on. Remember the Atkins diet, right? So many diets out there, some strict, some not so strict. I think that you have to think about what you're consuming less as a diet and more about just giving your body the fuel that it needs. And when you think about it in that way, it's really about eating clean, such as organic as much as possible, and eating whole, healthy foods in their truest form. So the fruits, the vegetables, lean proteins, food in its truest form that will help you feel good. And, a while back, it's been probably 5 or 6 years back, I went gluten-free. That was like sort of the first part of my health journey, realizing that when I eliminated gluten from my diet, just how much better I feel. Now, that's not for everybody. Not everyone needs to eat a gluten-free diet. But 6 years ago, that's what I needed to feel good. That's what I needed to have more energy, to go to the bathroom better, to get less bloating, to heal my gut. Recently, it's been, in the last year and a half, 2 years, doing a form of intermittent fasting. And for me, intermittent fasting, especially when I was hitting perimenopause, changed my body. It allowed my body to, digest and process food the way that I need to. So I do a 16-8, intermittent fasting, eating clean as much as possible, right? It's always an 80-20 rule. You always have to give yourself, the ability to have the out and to, cheat on the weekends and that sort of thing. It's not about doing something all the time and making yourself miserable. It's about feeling good. So my advice is to just think about what small changes you can make in your diet that will make you feel better, that will give you more energy, that will allow you to feel maybe less bloated. And there are so many books that you can read. I'm not the end all be on that, but it's about really decreasing sugar, increasing fiber, and eating clean. The second thing I want to talk about, which goes along with diet, is movement, right? We all think of exercise sometimes as this chore that we have to do. And I think the sooner that you can change your perspective on exercise, the better off you will be, because it's not about getting to the gym and pounding it out for 60 to 90 minutes a day. It's about movement in your body, whether it's taking a walk or, making it social and scheduling a walk with friends, or just knowing that the more that you move your body, the better that you are. And for me, I don't want to say I was a gym rat, but I did go to the gym like 5 times a week. I thought that I had to be a social, exerciser, someone who was more competitive and pushed myself when I was around people. And I loved taking classes and doing different things. And that worked for me pre-COVID. However, once the gym shut down, I had to figure out a different way to work out. And I started working out alone in my house. And I actually joined this platform. It's called Carrie Whiteman Fitness for any of you that want to check it out. But it's an app on my phone and it's through Instagram actually. And she does 2 live classes a day, but then there's a whole library of all these classes that I can do for my energy level that day, for my flexibility in my schedule. I don't have to adhere to something or a routine every single day. I mean, I do work out in the morning, but it gives me the ability to switch time around based on my schedule. And that way I can always get it in. I can get a 20-minute, 30-minute workout in and just move my body. So that might not work for everyone, but there are so many different platforms out there that you can try just to move your body. Yoga, stretching, bar, join a gym if that's what you want to do. Gyms are back to being open, but we live in a world now where I feel like there's no excuses to moving your body. And in that movement, you will feel so much better, so much lighter. And, it's not just for physical, it's for mental too. So I encourage everyone to sort of think about how it is you want to move your body this spring, how you want to feel better, and what will work for you. The next thing is, while you're fueling your body and you're fueling your body physically with exercise, you also want to fuel your mind. And the power in reading a book and the amount of people that actually don't read much more anymore because we tend to fill our physical time with scrolling on social media is just staggering. And I think that if you aren't a reader, taking the time to get back to reading, finding that time in your day. And honestly, it could be just not even reading. It could be listening to a book on Audible. So just like you do on your podcast, download a book on Audible and listen to it there. And it could be a self-development book like Untamed by Glennon Doyle is a fabulous one if you haven't read that yet. Really just speaking to the power that we have within us to make decisions and change our lives once we realize we have the power and the courage to act upon what truly and authentically is ours. Wonderful book. I love that book. Atomic Habits. That's an amazing book as well because, again, it talks about the daily habits that we create in our lives and what we do every day is what matters, right? It's our patterns. It's our habits. That's what creates change. So it's not only about doing new things, but it's looking at our lives now and figuring out what are we doing that is not serving us and making those changes. And listen, go back old school, right? This is an oldie but a goodie, but The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, so good. Such good basic principles of living your best life and being a highly effective person and looking at yourself and looking within and making changes. Love that book for mindset. And then again, if you're not into personal development, great. No big deal. You're listening to this podcast. So that's one part of personal development, but go fiction, right? You could, there's so many amazing books out there. Where the Crawdads Sing, such a fun book that is being made into a movie by Reese Witherspoon. It's going to be fantastic. So there's motivation right there for you to go in and listen. I mean, to read that book or listen to it on Audible before you watch the movie. A couple other ones I just recently read, American Dirt. That was gripping and drew you in from basically the first page about immigration and, just how getting from Mexico to America, that journey and how it's taking your life in your hands. It's just a fabulous, amazing book. And then I just read, I think it's Where the Forest Meets the Stars. And that was, I blew through that book in days because it was just such a testament to love and humanity and our relationships with others and how we form them and how, they can be so different and how we can find love in the most unique places. So those are just a couple recommendations, but Pick up a book, read, take 15 minutes to read, listen to it in your car while you're driving around. See how much it just really fuels you and makes you think in a different way. And that's really what growth is. It's just about thinking in a different way. So pick up a book, read, love to, and drop in the comments on Instagram some books that you love. I love to hear what you're reading and what you love. Okay, this next one I think you're all going to love, because here is a great tip for spring, for feeling renewed and re-energized. I think that you need to take a nap. I know, sounds crazy, right? And who knows, maybe some of you may be nappers. But here's the deal. Research out of Harvard, and there's a ton of research actually out of everywhere, shows that taking a power nap for around 20 minutes is the optimal length. And naps help to boost your memory fivefold. Your body and your brain benefit from a power nap in the same way from regular sleep. It refreshes, it heightens awareness, it promotes a positive frame of mind. Isn't that what we're all wanting to, gear ourselves towards? It also improves concentration. So my question is, when I was thinking about this, is why aren't we all taking a nap every day, right? We should all be like, siesta, like when they take siestas in like Europe. I hear from, so many of us, and I know myself, that we're tired, right? We're tired. Some of us aren't getting enough sleep at night. Some of us are just super run down and busy. And we need that 20-minute power nap to help rejuvenate us and refresh us. And I think sometimes we just don't give ourselves the permission to take the nap. And it really is such a fabulous way to just re-energize ourselves each and every day. I know I don't take a nap every day, but when I give myself the permission to do it, and I have the 20 minutes to do it, my afternoons and evenings are so much better. I have such a renewed sense of energy. I feel more positive. I am more connected. I feel more tuned in and tapped in. It is just the best. And here's an even better life hack for you. I don't know if you've ever heard of a coffee nap, but what it is where you drink a small cup of coffee, like maybe 5-6 ounces of coffee, and then you fall asleep. Take a quick 20-minute power nap. And by the time you're waking up, the coffee's kicking in. And so it's like the best of both worlds. You're refreshed and renewed from your sleep, and the coffee is starting to kick in. So you're like laser focused. Such a good hack. If you're feeling tired or you're feeling down, I'm just saying, give yourself the ability to take the power nap. It is awesome. And it is something that, you can add into your routine. It's 20 minutes. You will feel truly like a new woman. And so after your power nap and you wake up from that, think about doing some spring cleaning. So I recently moved in January, and I had to obviously totally clean out our home and purge so much. And I think, what we don't realize is how much we accumulate over time. And we had lived in our old house for 15 years. And I started going through it took me probably, 6 months. We actually had time before we moved. It took me so long to go through storage units and everyone's room and everyone's closet and all of our closets. And I could not believe the amount of trash I had, the amount of stuff I had to give to Goodwill, the amount of things to sign at consignment stores or online. And I really was questioning myself, what was my past self doing to keep all of this crap around? It was not necessary. And when I got rid of it, the amazing lightness and joy and freedom that I felt was just fantastic. So spring is a great time. They call it spring cleaning for a reason, to do this for yourselves, to start really just going through and cleaning and getting rid of the stuff that you don't use. I mean, they say the general rule is if you haven't worn something, I think it's a year, worn something, you use something, get rid of it. People, we live in a world where we can go on Amazon and get anything that we want anytime. So if you have that old power cord in your drawer that you have no idea what it belongs to, chuck it. It's not worth keeping. right? It is just going to sit there for another 10 years until you decide to throw it out. So doing some spring cleaning, you can also organize. There are companies that you can hire as organizers. I did that during my move and it was best decision ever. But if you're handy and can, or, into that and do it yourself, buy yourself from bins, get a label maker, start organizing your house and start small, start in a closet, start in a room. You will see how much better you feel emotionally just by doing that. Also, go through it and do a closet edit in your own closet. Throw out all of the things, or donate, I should say, don't throw out, but donate all of the clothes that you haven't worn and you're not going to wear. Listen, be honest with yourself, you're not going to wear it. And once you're able to kind of declutter and go through your closet, keeping only the things that you wear and that are your favorites, all of a sudden you can start to put together even new outfits that you couldn't even see before because you just had so much clutter and junk in your closet. So the spring cleaning, clothes, fashion, your kids' clothes, obviously that's a must, things that aren't fitting them. But going through your closets, your pantry, your drawers, oh my gosh, you will feel so light, and it's a whole world mentally. It will mentally lighten you, and the joy you will feel will be astounding. So with that, after you do look at your diet and your exercise, and you read, and you take a nap, and your spring cleaning, now is the time to set some goals. And this is when you have to go back to those questions that I mentioned earlier in the episode and really think about, what is it that I want out of my life, right? What do I want? What do I want my life to look like in the next year or 2 years from now? Because when you start to ask those hard questions, that's when it triggers your brain to actually answer them. And you may not have the answers right away, and that's okay. But it's the practice of asking the questions. It's the practice of thinking about your goals and the practice of writing them down that matters. Because when we write down our goals, we are truly triggering our brain to think in a new way, to actually visualize, right? It gives your brain the ability to visualize what you're thinking. And those visions create new neural pathways in your brain that allow change to occur in your life, right? We have to create our life. We cannot live by default. We are creators. We get to design this one amazing, beautiful life that we live. And you have the ability to do that. You have the ability to remove the limitations from your mind and the power to create anything that you want. But the first question is figuring out, what is it that you want? And you can do that by simply asking. Ask the questions. The secret is knowing that the more that you ask, the more that you prod, the more that you go deep in these questionings, the more you will find how much you want out of this life. And you can't do that until you start asking the questions. Oprah says this quote that I really love, and I don't even know if it's her quote. She might have taken it from someone else. But it's not who you are, but it's who you want to be, right? We're constantly developing. We're constantly growing. So figuring out who you want to be is something that you can really tap into this spring. I know I'm going to continue to do that. And it's something that I do every day. And I ask the questions and I write down the answers in my journal. And I continually go back and look at them and revisit my own mindset, revisit who I want to be, revisit the growth that I want out of this one beautiful life. So with that, I'm going to leave you to say, you know what? You're all amazing warriors. You go out there, you warrior up each day. You are blasting through roadblocks. You're blasting through limitations, and you're asking yourselves the hard questions, and you're going to write down goals, and you're going to do and make the change in your life that you know may not be easy, but you know will really serve you in the long run. So guys, thanks so much for joining me on today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I'd love to hear what books you're reading and what What habits and hacks are working for you? So drop us a comment on Instagram and be sure to follow Suburban Warrior. And guys, thanks so much for joining me today. Have an amazing day. And I'll be back next week with an awesome warrior story for you.